My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies, and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guests this week are New York via DC rapper Billy Woods and Queens rapper producer Elucid, otherwise known as Armand Hammer. In their Take Two episode, we spoke about One Battle After Another, the relationship between Hollywood and the state, the Zambian dark comedy on becoming a Guinea Fowl, the Anthony Hopkins-starring Magic, choice moments from their last solo albums Gollywag and Revelator, their recent LA release show, and the creative process behind their latest album Mercy, produced entirely by Alchemist. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. It's 10:30 over here on the East Coast, 7:30 on the West Coast. Very, very, very early morning edition of Real Notes. My name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. Got a lot of names, do a lot of shit, outside, inside, all sides. And every guest I have on here is special, but this is a special and an interesting one because I'm sure people have noticed, but I tend to not have repeat guests on here. I kind of pride myself on bringing new people and new perspectives into the fold. But it felt like it was if it felt like it was time to start bringing in some old favorites, re-rocking some old classics. Because the two men I have with me today, I mean, like, if you listen to this show, chances are you already know who these two men are. They don't really need much of an introduction, but they, as far as I could tell, I'm pretty sure they still have the most popular episode of this show across DSPs. I think by itself it has almost 1,000 plays, which is pretty nutty for me. But Woods and Elucid, Billy Woods, Elucid, Armand Hammer are here again. I'm calling this edition of Real Notes Take Two. We're going to be doing a few more of these in the future where I just bring back guests that I love, have good chemistry with, have cool, interesting shit going on. And these guys never don't have interesting, cool shit going on. By the time people hear this, if you're listening on Patreon, Mercy will be out in 4 days. If you're listening on DSPs, Mercy will be out in 2 days. But y'all will hear it. I've heard it. It's great. Surprising no one. Shout out Alchemist. Woods and Elucid, thank you for being here at 7:37 on a Friday morning. I appreciate you both more than I can say.
Yeah. What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Happy to be here.
Yeah, no.
So,
welcome. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that was the end of it. It is 7:30. I had no further pontificating.
Well, welcome back. Thank y'all so much for being here. The album's incredible. Congratulations on round 2 with Alchemist. And obviously, congratulations on, I feel like the three of us have been through some pretty incredible changes over the last 4+ years since I last had y'all on here as a duo. And of course, I had the both of y'all on Real Talk over the course of the last year. Woods and I just did one in May. Chaz and I just did one back in November. Chaz and I did Soul in the Hole. Woods and I watched Cure in Loudmouth in Brooklyn. But it's been a while since I've had y'all on here to do the duo thing. So thank you for coming back a second time. It means a lot.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So I mean, in this case, things are going to go a little differently because y'all have already answered a lot of the questions I usually ask in the beginning. Which means that if you haven't heard that episode, go listen to it. It's not hard to find. But I think I'm just going to start this off with the question I've been asking everybody since we started, which is, what was the last movie the both of y'all watched that you had a strong opinion about?
What's the last movie I watched?
Yeah, that you had a strong opinion about.
I'm probably gonna go with On Becoming a Guinea Fowl.
Oh wow, tell me about that.
It's a good one.
The Zambian woman. It was I was stunning, really, and especially talking about yeah, just it came from a place really culturally close. Zambia and Zimbabwe at one point were, however briefly, the same country, um, and culturally, the people are very similar, speak almost the same language. So, um, yeah, I found it just incredibly well made film, and then on top of that, it all centered around the death of a patriarch and things that spun out from that, in this family, and some of that was immediately relatable and emotionally striking. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think like I mean like looking at it now, I haven't seen it, but I thought I think I've heard about this and it sounds great. Like I'm very in on watching it. Where did you watch it? How recently did you watch it?
I actually watched it on a plane. I'd been trying to watch it for a minute, and kind of wanted to watch it with another African person, but schedules kept getting messed up, so I just watched it by myself. And yeah, everyone I recommended it to, I think, has had a strong reaction, and definitely for I think for people from Africa, there's an added layer uh, that it becomes like instantly recognizable. But
Hmm.
yeah, great film. Really need to see that woman's other feature film. Really impressive. It was an A24 film.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, I'm adding this to my list. I'm gonna definitely hit you about it when I watch it. This definitely seems like a conversation piece for sure. And I haven't I feel like I've kind of been slipping on conversation piece type of like really thoughtful um like mind opening movies lately. So yeah, that sounds dope. I love it. Chaz, what about you? What was the last thing you watched?
That was funny because that's like my second to last movie that I saw on Becoming a Guinea Fowl. Great film, of course. We're all saying that. But the last movie that I saw was Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
Tell me
Um,
about that.
it was from the '70s, and it's about a what do they call those people? A puppeteer? He's not really a puppeteer because it's a
Oh, a
dummy.
ventriloquist. The
A
ventriloquist dummy.
ventriloquist. Yeah, it's about a ventriloquist trying to make it, and the comically absurd, dark path that finds Anthony Hopkins on him and this dummy. It's like a New York movie, so they're in New York City, and then they're in like the Hudson kind of county woodsy areas. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins is in it. Burgess Meredith plays talent agent. Burgess Meredith of Rocky. I ain't hear no bell fame. Uh, it's good. It's great. It's kind of dark, kind of absurd, kind of just in time for Halloween. So yeah, great movie. I definitely recommend it on Tubi.
Oh hell, okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's all. That's all you had to say. That's
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I've never heard of this one before. I'm just looking at it now. It once
Mhm.
again sounds dope. You know, like anything involving psychological horror and a ventriloquist dummy, I'm always gonna be like, because they just like it just makes sense. You know, like they're just freaky enough. They're freaky enough that it just like it works.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, like yeah, this seems like a diamond in the rough type of Anthony Hopkins movie that I'm in. This sounds dope,
Mhm.
and it's adapted from yeah, I'm in. Cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love it. Yeah, no, speaking of Tubi, the last thing I watched, well, there's two things I watched. The first thing was on Tubi. It was this horror movie called Match that a homie had recommended to me. It's about it's about this woman, it's about this Hispanic woman who matches with a person on a dating app, and she goes to his house to meet him, and it turns out that his mom has been posing as him on the internet to get women, to enslave women in their crib and be impregnated by her son, who's like this like monstrous crazy looking dude done up with like practical effects. And it's just like the most over the top disgusting thing I've seen in a while. Like it's not even like funny gross, it's just like full on gross. And like once again, like like perfect for Halloween. It's the exact type of thing, like the exact type of acting, directing, editing, lighting you'd expect from a Tubi movie, but not necessarily in like the Magic mold, which seems to be more a little more grounded and a little more serious. This was just like full on splatterfest, like crazy bullshit, like 100% ratchet movie, and I had a great time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like a wild one.
Yeah,
Other things
yeah,
I saw recently, where I saw this movie called Vermiglio.
uh-huh.
I thought was really good about about this town, I guess, in Italy, in the mountains at the end of World War II, and yeah, I thought it was really interesting, beautifully shot. And I saw One Battle After Another,
Mm-hmm.
which was not the movie I expected it to be, or the movie I would have made, but I did think it was good.
Yeah. See, okay, so you're the first person to bring it up on here who's actually seen it. So please tell me more, because yeah, I saw. Tell me more how you felt about One Battle After Another. I'm so curious.
Um, I thought it was very strange and often zigged when I expected it to zag in terms of both tone and sometimes plot devices. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a strong film, especially for being so long. Like it could have been shorter, whatever. But
Yeah.
especially for being so long, it sustained my interest, and I thought it was interesting. Like I said, not
Yeah.
what I was expecting, but good, and definitely felt it didn't even feel remotely dystopian. It felt like tomorrow. You
Yeah.
know, it felt like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Not in the
Yeah. I
revolution and what they were doing, but just the way the government was, the actions and things that were happening. And,
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I think because like I talked to I spoke to Wino Willie and Matt about this, but neither of them had seen it yet. But like basically, yeah, I mean, like I'm basically where you are with it at this point. Like cuz like you, cuz like it definitely zigged where I thought it was, or yeah, it definitely zigged where I thought it was going to zag, in the sense that like they sold it as a movie that's kind of like about revolution, and it's not really a movie about it. Like it's happening in the movie, but it's not necessarily a movie that's kind of like a fist pumping call to arms, like go outside. And like, it's so interesting because like it's used, but it's not like for or against it, depending I don't know, like I'm still mulling over it. I wanted to go catch it more than once, but it was entertaining,
makes
beautifully
me
shot.
start expecting the Battle of Algiers or something. Which
Yeah,
is
right. Yeah,
but that he did use that in the movie, right?
he did. Yeah. There is a scene where they're watching the Battle of Algiers.
I think the most I haven't seen the movie, but what I've just seen, I've seen all the chatter around the movie, and everyone's kind of talking about like, well, I guess the people that I'm seeing, it's just like it's a lot of talk about the tropes that he's relying on,
Mm-hmm.
and is it supportive or is it dismissive? Is he making fun of these revolutionary characters, and to be honest, like black women in specifically?
Uh huh.
Um, and it's like, yeah, again, I haven't seen the movie, but it's like it's a Hollywood movie. Paul Thomas Anderson, millions and millions and millions of dollars here, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if the message that people were looking for, an actual revolutionary message, um, could ever be made by a Hollywood director, because
Yeah.
that's not what they do.
Of
That's
course you
not the
could.
system.
Of
That's
course you
not the
could.
function of Hollywood movies.
Of course you could. The same way a major record label put out Public Enemy's records. If it makes money, they're going to do it.
I think it's a little different. Um, I think it's a little
I
different.
mean, maybe under like we may be heading towards a situation in which somebody wouldn't put out a movie like that because it'll make our king angry. But up until then,
That's another story.
People,
Yes.
that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Traditional framework in which I've grown up, if the movie's going to make money, somebody's going to make it.
Of course, but it's like Hollywood serves like a particular function of the state.
Yeah.
And its images that it chooses and the stories that it props up and who gets made fun of and who doesn't, and like what people are left with in the end. And I'm just, I should just do my own research about like, did Hollywood ever do that? Did Hollywood ever make a movie that was in that sought to actually take down the state, and in particular that didn't uphold the state really? Like
yes,
let's not give it so much credit, but like something that sought to like not uphold state status quo and imagery,
but
ideas,
I don't think you can
characterizations.
I think it's risky to be like to equate the state with the culture.
I'm not
because I think oftentimes it upholds dominant cultural ideas of a time or countercultural ideas depending what's happening. But I don't think that Hollywood, other than the fact of culture and the goals of the state are often aligned or symbiotic, because it's the people who, at the end of the day, like I think like, okay, when I was growing up and there were movies, like a lot of movies coming out like Dirty Harry and Charles Bronson movies,
propaganda,
all of these
films
about individuals
vigilantes
who had
like Death Wish and shit like that.
Fighting back against and it's always like liberal. The police chief's like, you can't do that. It's criminal. A lot of that is coming out of a cultural moment, to me, that's in rebellion against the 60s and 70s, and also reflects the level of like, it's funny because people talk about crime and disorder, and like in the 70s, it's like, wow, when you look at like murder rates in cities, you'd be like, it was catching bodies like this.
Yeah,
crazy.
Man.
Like the mafia trying to beat the gangs, to beat the cops, to beat everybody is just letting off. You know what I mean? And
so
I see the reaction and sort of the cultural backlash against the 60s, against the civil rights movement, against liberal ideas, as becoming this trope that was like this one man in the police department or in society who's like, I've had enough. And I don't think that the state was like, this is something that you need to do. I think it's something that was easy to sell in that exact moment in time.
Sure, but I guess I'm thinking like the cultural expressions of things that like reinforce what the state wishes people would do anyway. Or the things that keep
but sometimes it doesn't.
In line, in order, thinking a particular way. But like, again, the machine runs itself, right? The people are going to do what they're going to do ultimately. But a lot of the time, they're running off the program of the state,
I think a lot of times culture in the state, in a country that the United States has been, do not diverge that much. And then at points where they diverge, you have different strains and backlashes. Because at the same time, I also grew up during a time when there started to be like feminist movies. You know what I mean? Like I remember walking 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, and I remember seeing that as a kid and being like, why are they so mean to all these men? Why are all the men in this movie bad? What was the Goldie Hawn one where she's like a secretary and then somehow tricks? Is that Working Girl?
Good 80s schlock right there.
I'm pretty sure that's Working Girl, yeah.
Workage.
And then you could say a reactionary movie to that in a certain way. Did you ever? There was a 70s movie called Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which is Richard Gere's first film appearance, but he's not the star. And anyway, it's about this single woman in the 70s navigating a life of like non-traditional. She lives in the city. She has sex with people. She does what she kind of wants to. I don't know. It's kind of reactionary. Lots of horror films like that. So I think that a lot of times I think that in Hollywood and in film, all of these things are in discussion. The things that are happening in society, maybe even latently, start to be in discussion with each other. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
I'm sorry.
when Spike Lee is selling people movies, it's not like those are like advanced in the state, but it is a moment in time where Spike Lee is making movies, and it's like you're getting that's something that people are like, oh, now we can sell this. Public Enemy, Jungle Brothers in music, all of these sort of like Afrocentric, pro-black messaging that ironically is happening right in the like end of the 1980s, beginning of the 1990s, when it's not exactly a liberal time in America,
Hmm.
um, but it was a time of like, yeah, black people are making movies in Hollywood now in a different way. You know, John
Right.
Singleton on the heels of that, all of that sort of stuff. That's like
Hmm.
what I came up in my era. So I think it's more complex than that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because like I mean like Spike in particular is really interesting to bring into that because you look at a lot of his later output. Like I immediately go to something like Black Klansman. Like I remember seeing Black Klansman for the first time.
Why are we
He
going to
said
his later outputs?
immediately.
Because like that's just because that's just where it because like because Spike did the whole I mean like Spike worked with the NYPD to make those commercials, so like that's just where my brain went immediately because he
Yeah,
made.
because the time has shifted. The time has
Yeah,
shifted.
you're right.
When I was in 1989, if like a black figure was like cultural figure was like, we need to work with the police to end like crack in our neighborhood. That was not something that there was no Twitter and only like, of course, there were radicals who would have been like, fuck that. But at that particular time, that would not have been a strange thing to happen. You know,
Right.
that wasn't the way that people, black community politically would not have been like, oh, why are you doing that? You know, the sort of stuff that gets like Killer Mike in trouble now.
Yeah. For sure.
And you know, when I was a kid, we were seeing movies like where you had a person like Lean on Me, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah. Morgan
Which
Freeman.
I guess
that
one could
wouldn't
make
fly
you could
these
make the
days.
argument that that reinforces the state, but I think it's
Yes.
really reflecting the cultural thoughts of lots of people in that moment in
time.
Black America who have
Feeling like
have watched 10 years of like madness happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 20
Yeah.
years if you really think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I never really like it's like I'm always like with Lean on Me in particular, I'm always on the fence about whether or not the movie wants us to like Morgan Freeman's character because a great parallel to that movie, which like of course different time still, but I rewatched Coach Carter again recently, and Coach Carter is basically just Lean on Me, but with basketball instead of him being a principal. Like the movie structured the same way, the plot kind of moves. What'd you say?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a trope at this point.
Yeah,
Look, these characters, black men come into public schools, it's out of control. They institute some sort of militaristic instruction,
right.
drill sergeant kind of vibe, and let's whip the school into shape. And like that's immediately like what people I think they, since the '90s, especially like post crack sort of era, like that's a very popular like kind of trope that I don't think serves us in real life. Like I'm watching it in like
Right.
public schools now, like right now. Um, but
Serves us in real life is a different story. I'm just talking about
but
where it came from in that cultural
sure,
moment. People
Right,
at
right, right.
that time would have said the state doesn't want you to see a black man come in and say, this is not how we're going to do things.
I guess I'm
We
just
got to
I'm
straighten.
supporting the point of like the movies speak to people's ideas and feelings sometimes like right there in the moment, like what you're talking about. And then oftentimes like we hold on to those things. Like we held on to that idea like Joe Clark or whoever else and like we brought it here and you see still seeing people use it now, even though less
Sure.
in fashion, but people still hold on to these things. Like these ideas hang on for generations, until it phased out whenever.
I mean,
New
that
ones are
idea is
replaced.
still. I mean, you could go on Twitter right now and somebody, will tell you about how like black men, they don't want you to do X, Y, and Z.
It's a long list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I spank my kids. What the hell are you talking about?
Crazy.
And I
Yeah.
remember people would be like, "Oh yeah, the problems is you stopped hitting your kids."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "What black people stopped hitting their kids in 1988?" One of them. But anyway, that was what people would say. Yeah, you hear your uncles and aunts talking to be like, they're not strict enough with these kids. That's why they're running in the streets. That's why your cousin got pregnant when she was 16.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened if whoever had cracked the whip.
Right. Yeah. That that flawed cause and effect type mentality for sure. Yeah. Nah, totally. And then one more thing about this before we move on. I mean, like just thinking about the idea and just like the function of like what the function of the state is when it comes to like portrayals of things in Hollywood and how that can kind of spill out to even just the way a movie's promoted. Like, you're like thinking about a movie like One Battle After Another and like how expansive it's become and like how much the discourse has taken over everything versus something like I brought this up when I was talking to Willie and Matt too. It's a movie called How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I don't know if either of y'all have seen it or heard of it.
I have heard of it.
What?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, so like when that movie came out, like that was like it got a release in theaters, but the way it was promoted, like I mean like it was in like a handful of theaters across the country. Reviews were very good and the people who did see it were like really into it, but it wasn't given a huge push. And there were even some news outlets and other people who were kind of putting this movie forward as like, oh, it's encouraging people to go out and commit acts of eco-terrorism. And yeah, because like the movie is about these kids who meet in a Discord server and they start and you're like, they want to go and blow up a pipeline in Texas. Like for various different reasons. So like, and like that movie is very much explicitly about a revolutionary act, in a way that like One Battle After Another isn't. And obviously that movie didn't get nearly as much promotion and it was in theaters for like 2 weeks. It made like $6 and change.
Who's the
What?
star? Who is the star of the movie?
Oh man, nobody huge. There isn't like a huge star in it. Yeah.
If Benicio del Toro and Leonardo DiCaprio and all of these people and Paul Thomas Anderson had decided to make that movie, that movie would be in a different position. Not saying I haven't seen it. I don't know everything about it, but it would be in a different position.
Yeah. I would just be so interested to see, because like just like if you ever get the chance to watch it, I'd be interested to know if you like because you're right in the sense that like if enough people are attached to it, like it'll get made. If there's cause.
Stone was making movies where the exact purpose of the movie was to attack the America, especially its foreign meddling or wars and things like that. All of Olive Stone's movies were big movies.
Yeah.
Big movies. Oftentimes they're incoherent in retrospect, but yeah. Remember when what's the one with Woody Harrelson and the one where it's like a couple on the run killing people?
Oh, Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, that's supposed to be like lots of statements about. It's just an incoherent film, So watch it. You're like, but when that came out, it was the biggest movie. You know what I mean? Or like,
right?
Even like Platoon was a movie I saw when I was young, where it was like, like Vietnam was just fucked, and all of these things were fucked up in a way that was different from things I'd seen. It was making money. Now again, like I said, soon we'll live in a country where it's like, this annoyed the king, so you can't do it anymore.
Right.
But it's interesting because I think sometimes one of the things that America has been successful at keeping in many ways the status quo is by also being willing to bend, and especially in realms of culture. Like I think about
Yeah.
like the Soviet Union or countries where they're like, you can't make this movie. It's like people still find ways to make the movies, and they carry all this weight as a result. Like I saw this movie. Uh, Something of the Sacred Fig Tree, this Iranian movie. It's really
Mm-hmm.
good. And like the people who made the movie had to flee the country and all this stuff. And the movie is not even that. I mean, it's critical of the state and whatever, but in relatively oblique ways. But eventually, in that sort of those sort of regimes, it's like anything that deviates from the line, they trip out about because I showed it to an Iranian friend of mine, Iranian American friend of mine. She was just like, "Why did this doesn't even seem so serious that everyone who worked on this movie would have to flee for their lives?"
Right.
And that's because, to a certain extent, I think capitalism and the United States and the state both previously recognized that cultural expressions like film can definitely have an effect, but it won't necessarily be transformative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily going to topple the government.
Right.
It's maybe if you start blowing it up to where it's like, if anyone sees this movie, you know what I mean? They'll let you see
Yeah.
the movie.
Right. And yeah, like some people might not even get it. Like there's like plenty of movies that have that sort of intent, and audiences outside of like a handful don't even pick up on the message, And then like you look back on it in 10 years and it's like, oh, that's what the movie was trying to say. It's yeah, it's oh, also before I forget, the movie we were talking about with Goldie Hawn was Cactus Flower, not Working Girl. I looked it up.
Catfish flower. No, hold on.
Um
Cactus flower?
I think so. Something about Goldie Hawn and a secretary. I'm pretty sure it was Cactus Flower.
No, well, I'm
I
sure,
think.
given the roles available at that time, I'm sure half to three quarters of her movies she was a secretary.
Yeah.
With it. But I feel like it's Working Girl. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I feel like
Okay.
it's
Either
Working
way.
Girl. She ends up getting a higher level job by accident when she's just supposed to be a secretary.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. In that case, I might just be wrong. Then I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry. My fault.
Not that many generations removed from when. Um, I mean, I think a lot of what you see is the blowback of the event. When my mother moved to New York City, it was hard for a single woman to rent an apartment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it'd be like, "What are you trying to do?" You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, so just thinking about in jobs, or if you worked at a corporate job, it would be like all men except for the secretaries. You know? And it's
Right.
funny now that's like, I think a lot of that change is part of why you have this sort of blowback in society that results in everything that's going on right now. But,
Right. Absolutely.
who knew we'd be talking about Goldie Hawn for this long?
Hey man, I was just thinking about Death Becomes Her, which I think might be one of my favorite recent movies I've seen in a really long. I mean, it's not a recent movie, but like I saw it recently, and I think that movie's great. So shout out to them, her and Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis and Robert Zemeckis. That movie's great. Um, but oh yeah, so I wanted to. So before we dig into Mercy a bit, I wanted to start this off by delving a tiny bit into both of y'all's most recent albums, and I want to start with Revelator. Chaz, there's of course, this album ends with a song called Zigzag Zig, and like I think this is especially dope since we're already talking about just like the not even so much cultural literacy, but just like the idea of ideas being expressed through media. Like for those listening who may or may not know, Zigzag Zig is 5%er slang, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, just like the constant zigzagging between all of those things. And the hook of the song involves you talking about like my niggas survive like a moving target. Like to me, like just like re-listening to Revelator and taking all that in and like kind of like I don't know why it didn't click to me at first, but it just clicked to me on this listen. I'm like, oh shit, that's what that is. I think passing down either those tenets or just like that general history respectively or like especially is real important. I think it's really important that you did it here and that you do it generally. I guess I'm just wondering, like, Chaz specifically, have you felt that urgency increase as you've gotten bigger and more successful to kind of plant these seeds for listeners who may or may not be willing to take all that stuff in?
Mm. I think first it just comes down to like just really saying what I want to say versus like let me spoon feed someone something. You know, things that I think about, things that I'm like taking in and reflecting on. And writing Zigzag Zig was like maybe right? No, it was before. It was done before. I don't know. That's it. Get my timelines mixed up. But yeah, I think it was a lot of me just like my reflection and experience and just wanting to, with that song in particular, just like understanding there's a lineage of like internationalist struggle, a Pan-Africanist struggle.
My fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the Real Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking.
Word. And thinking about the people like Kwame Ture, or you know, thinking about these sorts of black leaders. Or I was gonna say Black American, but he is not Black American actually.
Yeah.
Kwame Ture. But yeah, like thinking about cats like that and always having supported Palestine. And then me realizing, like, God, even as a child, like my mother wearing a keffiyeh. I remember in the 80s, like wearing a keffiyeh and like having shirts like Nelson Mandela, Free Nelson Mandela, and we're gonna take down apartheid. I remember like her and her friends have these sorts of conversations about like what should be happening there, and the conversation is still continued here, specifically with Palestine, of course.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like a lot of the music comes out of memory. But I do remember seeing someone wearing a keffiyeh scarf, and then remember my mother wearing the keffiyeh scarf, and then you go on Instagram and you're seeing children being bombed, and then it's just like these constant images that came to me, and then Zigzag Zig came out of that. Just kind of connecting things that are both personal and just the world at large. Just looking at what's happening.
Right. Yeah. Nah. It's just really like everything you just said was just really striking to me. Just like going, because like of course I've listened to this album a bunch, and you and I spoke about it before, but like I just it really just like impacted me differently re-listening to it over the last couple of weeks and just kind of noticing all that. It's just really strange to consider how it can all hit you at these random times. And I don't know, just like just like anything supporting solidarity across those lines between all oppressed peoples, as it were, is just like, it just makes me happy to see that happen as y'all start to really grow this platform you have and like really start to reach more people. Because I feel like really ever since Diabetic Test Strips, like the ramp has just been, like y'all have just been on this like really steep incline, and because you're indie and move the way you do, you can just kind of express these things and not have to feel Like you don't have to feel retribution for talking about the way that you experience the way the state oppresses people, here and abroad. So like I don't know. I think I just thought that was dope, and I love that song. Haram went crazy on the beat.
Yeah, I love that song.
Um,
That's top three on
yeah,
that album.
yeah, I'd agree. I mean, okay. Now that you said that, what would be your other two? Was if you had to pick?
Um, on Revelator,
Yeah.
well, maybe Instant Transfer of Bad Pollen is hard, but I think I picked Bad Pollen.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's tough, because then I also feel like World is Dog is pretty crucial to the sort of aesthetics of the record and everything that's going on. And then there's that one, how do you say it with the X?
Sholo.
That one's real good.
Sholo. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I need to run through them real quick to say for sure my top three. But those
No,
are
that's
the-
all. That's all good. While you think about it, I actually have a similar question for you, Woods, for a song from Gollywag. The one that I mean, like I've like once again, album I've sat with a bunch, been listening to it a lot. Fantastic record. The one that I keep coming back to and on this topic is Maquiadoras, because at the end of Maquiadoras, like your verse, that entire verse is a reaction to a specific section of Frantz Fanon's Black Skin, White Masks. And the album itself grapples, like all of your work does, with the idea of Afro-pessimism. And I'm really intrigued by the line, they give ill-fitted limbs as gifts and only as you can live in the present, because that line dovetails so well with the assertion, the way I see it, it ain't no past tense on Corinthians. Like these two ideas kind of like existing on the same album and only being a few songs apart is really interesting and dope to me. But just like for you as a Black person and like as a rapper, a writer, creative, whatever you want to call yourself, like what does it mean to live in the present tense? I'm really curious.
Well, I think that that album specifically has a lot of ideas of time travel are pretty central to the themes emanating out of that record.
Someone ever talk about that?
I don't know, not a lot, but it's pretty central to the idea, and so I mean, are we talking about for myself or what I was doing in that song?
I'd say for you, but if you want to talk about the idea of the song, I'd be interested to hear that too.
Well, I think for me, I had a song where I'm like, a couple different songs where I reference like living in the past.
Yep.
And I think that on several levels, I do think I'm a person who I think it's important to live in the present and be attached to the things around me, and appreciative of the things that I'm happening, and because I know how quickly everything can change, in good moments and bad moments too, and but I think that being someone who has felt both at parts of my life acutely a piece of history happening around me, and just an awareness of history, whether it's from that being my father's whole thing to like, growing up in a country that was literally being reborn, to all of these things. That's just always interested me. So I do feel like in many ways, I tend to be a person who looks to the past a great deal, which is maybe where sometimes some of the more pessimistic ideas come from, because hopeful too, I think. But yeah, so I guess for myself personally, it's a pull between the past and the present. Really, I don't feel. I feel very interested in the future, but even when I'm thinking about the future, it's usually my thoughts are directed in some ways by the past and the present. You know? I remember. I remember once uh, I met this woman, and I was young. I met this woman, and just getting to know each other, and I was asking a lot of questions, asking questions about her life. She was like, and previous relationships and stuff like that. She was like, I don't like to get into that. Like, to me, it's just like where we're going from here, and I
Right.
just never get that out of my head or reconcile that with how I lived. Like, better not to talk about where we come from or any of the things that brought us to this place together. We're just going from here. I can see
Right.
how that is, it's a reasonable thing for a person to want to do, and maybe even desirable, depending on how you look at the world, where you're coming from. And I mean, in a certain way, I think that that's a very American sentiment that Americans made somewhat of a reality, where it's like, yeah, you just decide who you want to be. Where you don't have to be, you meet somebody from England. It's like their whole family is. Even when you're in England, the way people think about class is like a thing that you culturally exist within, in a way that Americans traditionally do not think like that. It's like you can make what you want. Like if you get rich in America, you're a different class. It's not about like if you hold your fork the right way or something like that. You know what I mean? Ultimately,
Right.
you could be whoever. Your grandfather could have been a bootlegger. You're now the Kennedys. Yeah. It doesn't
Right.
matter about the rest of it, And also on a smaller level, just people being able to, we joke around about. I've joked around with people about there's like a time in history where like a man would just be like,
going for cigarettes.
your kids, your wife, kids, you tired of it?
Caught that midnight train to Georgia.
Just get a job
Uh-huh.
else and be a different
Whole
person, man.
different person,
Doesn't
3,000
matter.
miles away.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Different now, but like a few generations ago, could literally be like, man, fuck this shit.
I'm out.
Right. Yeah, no, and that was a trope too, that like it's still, I think people still recognize it. Like trope feels like the wrong word, but it's like very much like
like it's not true, but people
right.
I mean, they
Yeah.
come out of
people did and do that did that where it'd be like, yeah,
Right.
I might take the name of somebody that I knew and move to a new city and do a new thing.
Right.
I mean, you see that as like an American thing where like even people who would like go back to high schools, that thing where you like re-enroll in high school or re-enroll in college, and it's like a grown adult. They decided to do a whole different thing, steal a whole identity, and start going to high school.
Right.
And not even
That's
necessarily on some like molestation vibes. They really just were like, I want to be someone else. I want to have, and I want to activate that. Is a very real thing, I think, in America. And that's part of the idea of like, you're an individual.
Right. Yeah,
you can
very
go
much
out
so.
and be your individual self. You don't have to be who they already said you need to be. And that's it's a big part of how Americans look at themselves and think about themselves, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from a family, I'm from a place, but ultimately I should be able to do what I want. Which I think when you grow up here, you used to. But when you're in other places, like, that's a crazy thing to say, Like, it's what your family wants that you should be thinking about.
Yeah. We're definitely like as a whole, Americans, we're not collectively minded like that. Yeah, individualism is very
bad parts,
Right, definitely. Yeah.
Collective of idiots, like
right. Yeah.
You could just be like, nah, I don't care what you guys think.
Word.
Go do this. And people are supposed to, if you succeed, people respect that.
Right. There was one other thing I wanted to touch on before we get to before we talk to Mercy. Woods, I was reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' interview with Earl Tebe back in 2022, and I don't know that I've ever heard you talk about this either, but he mentioned that you met his father in Tanzania.
He's wrong. It was
And
in Harare.
oh, okay.
I think it
Okay.
was in Harare.
Well, I mean, like, I just like do
The university, and so in the English department, and I'm pretty sure it was not unusual for um, event those things to crisscross with our like life at home.
yeah.
It's like to entertain people. A lot of times, if they're visiting speakers or whatever, sometimes they'd come have dinner at our house, and they'd be like, yeah, it's just memorable shit from when I was a kid. You might, like, let's say they had a dinner party. There might be like an American writer or professors, visiting professors, and then people that my dad knew were in the government or whatever, and that would be like, the vibes sometimes. And definitely also like going to events. So I feel like it's impossible to prove, but I feel like I met him. It's funny. I was in my house, my mother's house, and then I just saw his book on the shelf, and it was you could tell that it was from Zimbabwe just because of how my mother annotates her books and stuff in person.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I remember him coming to the university, blah 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 blah." But she doesn't, her mother is pretty old. She doesn't remember exactly.
Right. Yeah. I just thought that was
I remember
really.
definitely there was. I remember a South African writer and poet, and I could be wrong on the guy, but it seems
Mhm.
very plausible.
Yeah. It does. It does seem very plausible. Do you remember what the book was by chance that you saw?
No, I could find it easily though. I sent Tebe a picture of it back then.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, if you can remember like that, yeah, no, like at some point that'd be. I just want to know. Like, that doesn't even have to be for this. Like, I'm just curious.
Actually,
Okay.
oh, why is it not in here? Well, maybe that was his old phone number.
Okay. Well, while you look for that, I wanna jump to the present and get to Mercy. Like I said, since I last had you both on here, that was for Haram. Things have obviously picked up in this huge way. Like of course, Haram with Alchemist happens. Both of you dropped several projects. Um, yeah, no, like, you both dropped several projects. Woods has dropped two. Chaz has dropped one. A whole other Armand Hammer album. The Fat Possum deal happens. Backwoods expands. The profile grows. And now we're here for round two with Mercy. Um, what? When did y'all? I mean, like, talk to me about the initial reaction that Haram garnered for the both of y'all as individuals in a collective, and when did you know that it was time for round two? Like, when did you know it was time to start working on Mercy?
I guess to answer the latter part of your question,
Mm-hmm.
um, the first part of your question is hard to frame without putting it in the timeline of the pandemic and things that were happening at that
Right.
time. So we had started it and then ended up doing shrines and then came back and finished it.
Right.
At the time we were like coming back to finish it, we're in the pandemic, and um, yeah, so there's a distinct sort of vibe and feel to how that all went.
Yeah, as the world opened up, we were right there. It was like out here touring like immediately.
Yeah, but
Right.
we weren't. It wasn't coming from all of these things were happening in sort of a completely new territory, everything. So it's hard for me to contextualize it really simply as, oh, then this day and then it went to this, because we were living in a whole different universe where suddenly we didn't have shows and we were doing like live, and so people were responding. A lot of things were in a box, and then as things open up, we're coming out of this box to do stuff. But it was just a strange time. I think as far as time to do a new record, Al was suggesting it. It was something that we had always planned to do, and so it just came down to sort of the timing. It was, it's like, it felt like it was something that we had, really wanted to do. Like, easy to work with, friends, great producer.
Yeah.
We went off and did test strips, which was just a whole different world. It was like, oh, let's come back and do this. And then we did do that, although it didn't go as, just like the first time. It kind of was interrupted, then we picked it back up again. So, ironically.
What was the big interruption with Mercy?
I was finishing Revelator.
Okay.
Finishing Revelator. And I don't know. I couldn't put a percentage, but maybe we had already been maybe 40% into Mercy.
30 to 40% of the album.
Yeah. And then put a pause on that. I finished Revelator, did Revelator, and then came back and knocked Mercy out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of overlap there.
So the funny thing is that the Gollywag album happens when it does, and really happens in the way that it does, only because we were working on this record, and then Elucid had to step back, and I was like, all right, and went off to do a bunch of things, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just sitting here, and I'm definitely feeling like writing. I felt like I was getting in the flow of things. And so I was like, fuck it, I might as well just start working on a record. What am I going to do?
Right.
And that's how Gollywag gets made.
Wow. It's crazy for me to think that a record like Gollywag just kind of came from like, I got all this restless creative energy. Let me just go put it into this like crazy, like time travel.
I have sometimes I have a thing where it's like drafts of ideas and little things.
Yeah.
I had the word written there, and then it just, but it did genuinely come from that. I was like, all right, well, it seems like that's over. So I just was like, because we need to make the albums in sync. You can't be like, I'm going to record my verses and then he's going to come in.
Yeah, of course.
This album, there's a lot of back and forth and other stuff. It was just like,
right.
At a certain point, it started to lag, and it was like, you know what? We all agreed, let's just shut it down and come back when Elucid is able to be down there.
Totally. Yeah, because like, I mean, like a song like California Games doesn't happen like if y'all aren't all locked in together. Like it's like I love the back and forth on California Games. I love the back and forth on Peshawar. Just like it's just so, because like y'all don't really go back and forth like that very often on record. Like y'all aren't like playing hot potato and just like passing off in between verses like that very often. So it was cool to see it happen a bit more often here. That was a nice. It just works. Like your voices are so complimentary as it is that it's just nice to see you just like pass it off and back and forth and all that.
Armand Hammer and 2 people.
Who would have guessed? Nah. It's just
even the suggestion of passing it back and forth. It's very classic hip hop with duos.
Yeah.
But also, because I think it's so weird that people can hear our music and think that it's one person. It's crazy.
Right.
Very different voices and projections and tone, all these things. And I thought doing a back and forth, like there's no way you could say this is just one person. This is impossible.
Right.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like, set the record straight. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how anybody could ever think that either, to be honest. But I'd be I guess I wouldn't be surprised that you get that pretty often.
I read it on Twitter last night, actually.
Oh, bro.
Really? God damn. Come on, y'all. Like, like you really think it's one person like putting on two voices? Like, come on,
it's
son.
a lot of, we're talking about like how things have like kind of grown exponentially in some areas for myself speaking. Yeah, you know what I mean? We have like a lot of sort of like people that arrived to the game a little bit late. You know,
Yeah.
they may have come in on test strips, or they may have come in on Gollywag, right? Like they may have come in on Revelator. So like that's part of like just the understanding. Like people just may not hear may not understand exactly what they're listening to, and that's fine, because eventually it all makes sense. But
some people just don't also think very hard.
well, that's
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation, bro.
And people that have friends, you have a friend who you're like, why would you? And they're like, I don't know. They didn't think about it beyond. They had a thought. They said they marked it down and they moved on, and they didn't interrogate it or think about it, or things that didn't match up with that thought weren't thought about. It's just not how they're spending their energy or look at the world.
Yeah. It's just funny to me because y'all don't make don't think about it music. Like you never have and you never will. It's like I get it, like everybody's coming to the music with their own perspective, but it's just like it's just interesting that you'd come to stuff like this and not dwell on it.
Well, you might dwell on the things that you feel like dwelling on. That's the thing.
Right.
Selectively think about things and not think about an attendant thing that seems very important to the thing that they're choosing to think about,
Yeah, totally. And like, another thing that makes this, like another thing I noticed that was really interesting about this project compared to Haram, just purely musically, is that Haram, in terms of the beats, it feels like Al was kind of stepping more into y'all's world a little bit. And here, it feels like you guys stepped a little bit more into his in certain ways. Like just like in terms of the way that his beats, like just in terms of the way the beats manifest, like just like the way like they're structured and the way they sound and like the soundscapes he's pulling from, like this feels a little more like, it feels a touch, just a tiny bit more like traditional Alchemist production, except for a song like Laraji. Like Laraji's it's like, I love the fact that y'all open with Laraji. I think it's such a great like destabilizing presence on this album. Like just like the way the beat moves and the way y'all move through it. But like outside of that, like this feels very much kind of like it feels a bit more like a traditional quote unquote Alchemist project, like musically to me. So I guess I'm curious, like what did the two of you look like? Did the two of you go into this project looking for anything specific from Al this time? And like, how did the beats come about? Like, did he make them for you, or did he have a batch ready for you? And like, how did you take all the stuff he was giving you?
I'm not really sure. I think Alchemist makes a lot of music. I think he just crafts and he just wakes up and just makes joints and he compile things, and I think he keeps things in mind for certain artists. And I think there was probably an Armand Hammer folder where he was just like kind of like saw the vision connecting, and for Haram he definitely mentioned like coming into our world, and I think even here I think he leaned a little bit closer into our world, because I feel like a lot of those beats on this record, I don't think you can hear any other rapper pick it, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Over
For
Shower or Long Johns with Quelle Chris and Cleo Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there'll be a lot of rappers choosing those beats. I think those things are definitely kind of those are our vibe. No Grabba.
Yeah, No Grabba was the first one I thought of when you said that too. Yeah.
That's obviously Freddie Gibbs is picking the right beats for him. He's selling out 2,000 first row. So
right.
No question. We need to pick his beat.
But I think just our like Armand Hammer like taste and aesthetic, like I think he kind of understands it in this way with sound, and things that we are able to complement very well that I don't think some other artists would even stand next to.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't. I might be too close to it to step back and be like, okay, how does this sound compared to? But yeah, I wonder if it's just because the album is quieter and in certain ways, and maybe sonically not as immediately dark seeming. Although I'm just like, to me, I wonder what, and I don't listen to, also may not have heard as many records as some people, but I'd be like, well, it doesn't sound like the Larry June beats. It doesn't sound like to me, but I can see that.
Right.
I can see that maybe it's just like, oh, Armand Hammer to certain people might be like, it's loud and abrasive. That is, because like people said that about my music, and sometimes I'm like, it definitely can be, but and I have no problem with it. I made lots of stuff that is like loud and abrasive, but I don't think like when I'm doing a song, I'm not like Billy Wood's signature is loud and abrasive. I mean, I don't know.
Definitely not. I wouldn't say that
all
either.
over the place, but so I don't know. It's definitely sounds different from Haram, but in my mind, it doesn't sound like the other projects that Al was working on. But obviously, I might just be too close to it to see it. And I might show that to be the case or not be the case. But I do think it's operating at a little bit different registers and painting with different colors, as Al would probably say, than Haram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I guess I should clarify that. Yeah, I mean, like this, like I even felt a little fucked up saying that it felt like traditional, because yeah, like I can't hear. I couldn't.
I don't want it to be like something where I wouldn't. I mean, honestly, I remember when we were doing Haram, I was like, man, when are we getting those Benny the Butcher beats?
Yeah.
That was right after
yeah, Frank Lucas and shit like that. Yeah.
Johnny P's Caddy?
No, before that, the one that was so hard, it was like, oh man, what the fuck was it? Broken Bottles and what's the song called?
But yeah, he was on a run there.
Benny the
Broken
Butcher
Bottles
beats.
is so dope. Love that song.
Is
Which
that
one?
the name of the song?
The Benny one?
Yeah, let me find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The video they were rapping in the back of in the video they were rapping in the back of like a semi trailer.
I'm pretty sure that was Broken Bottles. I'm pretty sure. I'd listen right now if I could, but I can't do that.
No, Rubber Bands and Weight.
Oh, Rubber Bands and Weight, another great one. Like,
I was like, when that wasn't in my fault there. I got
that's hilarious.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going. I don't want anyone to be like, oh no, I'm not. If it was like, oh, this is like Armand Hammer stepped into Alchemist world, I would have no problem with that if that is what happened. I just, in my mind when I was doing it and when I listened to the album, that isn't necessarily what I'm hearing.
I feel you.
Hearing like Elephant Man's Bones, Skeleton Key, Larry June, 2 Chainz. Then I'm not really hearing those records, but I could see somebody saying that maybe just because of the tone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get that, because I mean, like, even like two beats that really caught my ear on this album were Dog-Eared and Mumbo. Like those, you know, like those two in particular are like nobody else would pick those, or like at the very least, the mind might go to y'all first. You know,
yeah, not Dog-Eared. I feel like that was, yeah. See, that's the thing. The one thing I'd say is I would say that I think that Haram is a little bit weirder.
Yeah,
I'd say that Haram, the sonically is a little bit more weird. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah,
I'll always think of like our music as being weird per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's off kilter moments and stuff, but yeah, like if I listen to like I don't know from the Armand Hammer universe, like I Told Bessie, for example, that record's intriguing and has I think some of the best production of any record in hip hop over the last 10 years. But
Shit is dope.
there's plenty of I don't know. There's plenty of I think there's plenty of room in our catalog for this record's sonics.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd agree. Like, and I think it is worth noting that it does sound a bit brighter, I think, generally, than Haram. And like, like, I get what you mean when you say weirder. And like, I know
Okay.
what?
Right. Now, I was thinking about like in comparisons to the two and how it all went down, and me being very hyped that like Alchemist was saying like he wanted to like lean into our world. So with that came like me doing my Arm and Hammer post production sort of a thing, or my elusive post production thing, which ended up on Haram.
Mm-hmm.
Certain ways of like tweaking the beats and adding sounds for transitions and just creating like these sorts of moves, like the setups and the conclusions of like ideas or whatever in the songs. And with Mercy doing none of that at all. And for me, like when I listen to the record, I can hear where it's just like, well, I would have probably done this and that, but it's like it didn't need it on Mercy. Right, with Haram, I was just like, moving off the excitement of that. But on the second one, I was just like, I want it to be fully produced and not take any kind of. I just wanted to rap.
Right.
That's an interesting note to make that I wouldn't have even really remembered or thought about. But yes, you definitely played a role post production.
Wow.
Didn't happen.
Okay, but okay. Before we dig into specifics with the lyrics, talk to me about the post production on Haram, because I had no idea about that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just I would say maybe just how things are flowing in between songs. Just extend like you listen to like the maybe some of the more production centered things like I did like interference pattern or like seership. Like you hear like the drones and the ambience and like the echoes, like certain way the sounds are treated and drawn out to like transition things. You'll hear it in Haram. Like now that I said it, like you'll listen back to Haram, you'll peep what I'm talking about.
One place I'd say you could hear it on this record is you and Willie Green's collaboration on how the end of No Graba sounded.
Sure.
And No Graba sounds in general.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a place where you were like, I remember because Green, you were like either overloaded or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right. And a little bit maybe on what's it called too? What's that other song? God damn. Sorry, it's early in the morning.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So early, bro. Yeah, smoking nonstop.
Yeah,
like, what is it? It's insane, actually. Yeah, just roll up. Wake up.
So, yeah, I don't remember, but I feel like there are one or two instances on here where we did more of that. But yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
That's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go back and listen to Haram when we're done here, and I will make note. I promise. So I know we don't have that much more time, so I wanted to ask about a couple things. First being like just the general theme of this album, like where did the title Mercy come, and if there was anything that you felt kind of ties them all together to make sort of a cohesive statement, what do you think that would be? Because I've listened to this album, I want to say at least 5 or 6 times at this point, and I still, like, I'm obviously picking up on the stuff you're talking about, like piecemeal individually, but I'm like, I haven't stitched it all together yet in the way that I feel like I should have by now. So like, what do y'all see that being?
I guess to me, I'd see the record as being. I feel like it's a little more introspective. It's a little bit more abstract than Test Strips. And,
For sure.
More Test Strips like is going far and wide in every sense of the word. And this feels pretty intimate
Yeah.
to me, more so than Haram, and certainly more so than Test Strips. Um, Contemplative, um, really delving into a lot of ideas of memory, um, community. Yeah, I don't know. I guess those would be my initial feelings, and I definitely feel like it's one of the more. There's more. It's more open in terms of like thinking about the record and the amount of space in there.
Yeah.
Haram is kind of claustrophobic. And
Yeah.
this record, I feel like there's lots of times you could listen and be like, come away from a song with different ideas, different feelings and vibes each time you listen to it. Like a song like Calypso Jane.
Yeah.
What is the emotion that comes from that? I feel like for me, it would be significantly impacted probably by how I was feeling that day and different things of how I'm gonna take that sort of energy, or comparing something like "You Know My Body" to something like Pepper Tree. Uh, they're very different. "You Know My Body" is very contemplative, and Pepper Tree is very like specifically dialed into this particular experience, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
there's more room to walk around in some of these things, I guess. Um, Dog-eared.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Dog Eared. That's a great example. Yeah.
Uh, Nil by Mouth. All of them. Even something like Glue Traps. That's a song I
Mm-hmm.
listen to, and I'm like, oh, it's got a lot of different textures and vibes. Um, by the time you get from my verse to Crisis Phone, also,
Yep.
where, like, what is that song? Because on the one hand, with Crisis Phone, it feels like it's sliding, it's aggressive and it's sliding, and then there's parts of it that feel a little bit mournful. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's more abstraction, there's more introspection, there's more room in the songs for different types of interpretations and things like that.
Yeah. I love you touching on just like the aspect of memory, because yeah, like the both of y'all really are kind of delving like, just generally it does feel more personal and a bit more intimate, and like you guys are just kind of sharing these stories about, like, cuz like, if I was to think of a song on Haram that kind of reflects everything you're talking about, I would think of something like "Falling Out the Sky." Like it feels like that. It feels like that was kind of like a guiding mantra throughout a lot of the, like, I'm like, not to say that it was, but like the parallels are there to me in terms of the way y'all are talking about yourselves in the world. Like I get a lot of that from Dog Eared. I get a lot of that from Moonbo and No Graba and California Games and Super Nintendo. Like that writing mode feels like it was kind of the dominant one throughout all of this, to
Yeah,
me.
but I would still look at something like "Falling Out the Sky" and be like, "Falling Out the Sky" is placing you in these specific mood moments. Like Dog Eared, you're definitely in specific places, but it's less like what to come away with feels a little more open,
Right.
than what I would say "Falling Out the Sky," which is neither bad nor good. It's just, yeah.
Word.
I would say that lyrically, this album feels a little more experimental.
Yeah. I could see that too. Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like it's definitely like, it's like impressionist almost, like it's kind of got this, like you said, there's about 6 or 7 different ways you could walk away from any particular song, which I think is, like a testament to both y'all's voices, and just how how firm your perspectives are, but how open you are as writers, and how open you've kind of become as writers. Chaz, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Nah, he capped that up. He capped that up there.
I'm just like, I don't know. Like I said, I've listened to this record a bunch of times, and I feel like I've come away from it with a lot of different things every time, in a way that like it's hard to kind of pin down, which I appreciate, because that's what gives something like this replay value.
I think, for me, like, these questions are interesting. Always like what does it mean? Like, sometimes I don't know what it means, man. Like, sometimes it's, it's a collection of images that has happened in that moment to like write down and record. For me personally, it's not always a very conscious thing. Like, we're dealing with images, we're dealing with the subconscious, and like you said, you can hear it now, and then it didn't make sense for a year later, and that's kind of magical to me. So I'm like these things are just coming at us, and it hits you this way on Wednesday, and then it hits you differently on Sunday, and there's no way to tell. If you ask me this question next month, I might have like a way better answer about like what this album is about, what these songs are about. But I think what's interesting to me about even making this shit is that it does constantly change. And I can't actually, even myself as a creator, actually pin it down on what this thing exactly means in this moment, because it's going to change,
Right.
So yeah, ask me again next month.
Yeah. I love that answer, because once again, like, I'm gonna keep coming back to Laraji. Like, I think Laraji is like the perfect manifestation of that, because like it's just like that whole song is just images, like like Chaz, you started off like literally the first lines are jazz hat like Laraji, and it's just like the two of y'all just.
I had to tell you about my drip. I had to tell you how I moved to a new apartment with the Ginkgo tree out. I had to tell you, about what's going down in my kids' public school. I had, all these things is coming from like real life, but it's translated in a particular way that kind of sounds whatever it sounded like to you, on Laraji. I love that.
Like I always come back to just the way you say this is Bucktown, and then just like the guitar comes. I love that song. It's such a great introduction, and I think it's gonna.
My favorite timings when the drums get to rolling in on the ones and the three. He knows what I like there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
You have when you were talking about how the beats came together and how things came together. I like to think always that like how you make things has at least some effect on what ends up being made. And certainly by choosing consciously to be like, we're going to do more back and forth songs, changes the writing process. Yeah. Changes how you go about making a track. It's just different, And and then with the beats, for example, there was different things. Like there was Al sending us curated pack of beats. These are the ones I set aside for you guys. Here you go. And then there was times of being in California, and it's like, it's 3 a.m. Chaz passed out, or we just got there and he's playing stuff. Whatever, people were playing stuff, and you're like, just what else you got? Once the room clears out, what else you got in there? And sometimes there's stuff that's in the machine that he was working on that day, and you're like, that what's happening with that? Like California Games, which changed significantly from the first original way we recorded it.
Yeah.
But that was very much an in-studio, last song that we recorded for the album, in studio. Tebe was there, we're scrolling through beats on the machine and his laptop, and and then there's something like Raji, which was like maybe the third pack of beats he sent us, and the Lucid texted me like, yo, there's heat in here. And I hadn't even listened to it. I put it on. And then as soon as that one happened, I was like, I called him and I was like, tell me that you also picked this one. Like the curated pack that he gave us. And then, there were other times just being in the studio and being like, oh, what's up with this one? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with this?
Yeah. And you're like that notion comes through in the way the songs flow too. Like it really, because I mean, like you said earlier, that this is like that this is some of the most experimental writing in your catalog. Like it really comes through in the way, like this really does feel like playful. You know, like this feels like the most playful thing you guys have ever made in that respect. Like, and I love that about this project. Like it's there's just something really like you're in this to sift through it and really tease it and freak it how it needs to be teased and freaked, you know? And like even down to like there's a line of yours, Woods I Love, on Laraji, where you say Herzog voiceover, the camera pans, everyone's a cameraman. You know, because just like we all know Werner Herzog's voice, and just like that like deadpan Eastern European, Western European affect. I don't know. Like it like once again talking about images. Like that's an image. Like I know like I'm picking up exactly what you're putting down in the same way. Like I forget what song it is, Chaz, when you say it was the one I texted you about. Sean Price said no sneakers and fatigues. You know, like that's like images. Like I know exactly the moment you're talking. I don't know. Like y'all just really tapped into something special and interesting on this album, as you always do. So I just thought that was dope.
Man. Yeah, no, I thought writing it's different because it's like, oh, okay, you wrote that, and the other person took it somewhere, and then where do you go from there? Like Peshawar, for example. Initially, the song was longer, and just going back and forth, and then it was Chaz like, you know what? Let's just stop it where it stopped. That moment, the glow from the wood stove, whatever, and we just went with that. And but like, yeah, it was just building back that sort of building songs back and forth like that takes you to a different place, I think.
Yeah, and yeah, like once again, just like really dope that y'all decided to do that, because I don't think I've ever heard you go back and forth like that on record before. So it's like like I said, and like y'all have elaborated on, it really brought something different out of you here, and I think it's going to translate in cool ways, and I'm excited. I'm especially excited to see this shit live. So I'm amped about that.
We did a taste last night, first time doing few joints, so yeah.
Right. Okay, but before we formally wrap this up, how was last night? I'm mad I didn't ask about it at the top.
I thought it was cool. Really thankful to Al for, he's got a lot going on. He's like fine to do, I think, a Gibbs show somewhere this morning, and not like it's nothing. We sold the place out, but it still means a lot that he was like, I'm there. I'm gonna come there and do this with you, because it's definitely other places it could have been, and probably more money to be had at them. But yeah, we had a good time. Place was packed out.
Yeah.
Elucid almost sold early copies of the album. Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited to get that. Excited to get that record out there. We got to go back. We're going to link with Joseph when we get back to Brooklyn and knock out another video. But yeah, it was cool, especially because we had just put out the Calypso Gene video, and then this amazing artist Cleo Reed opened, as well as Human Error Club.
Yeah.
Who people haven't tapped in. Their album is out on Backwards right now.
Yes, it is.
Hammer is on it. Cavalier and Quelle. Man, again, it's early in the morning, but it's a bunch. It's an amazing album. A quartet from LA. Kenny Siegel played a heavy role in it. And they also did my song "Dislocated" from Gollywag. Which, to me, is one of the best all-time Armand Hammer songs.
That song is incredible. Hammer
songs. Period.
Yeah, I was just a guest on Ariel NYC's Heads Know, and I just played, like, that was that was in my mix. I love Dislocated. That song's incredible.
Incredible. Yeah, that was one of those where it was like it was a team effort in which I played arguably the least important role, but I got the song in the end. So I was happy for that. Sometimes it goes like that.
Yeah.
Hammer song. And you're like, I think I want to take this one. I I remember that happened like after we made Instant Transfer. It was only a short period of time before it was like, so are you, because he was working on his album most prominently.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you good? And he was like, yeah, no, that's, I'm like, oh, song's great. that went live really well too.
Incredible.
So yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It's going to be great to build on that to what our next stage show is going to be. You know, obviously the album cuts, and then some other things that we have. You know, like we've done Bad Pollen once or twice live. I would love to do that again. I thought that song was really fire. You know, we depended on. We had that track with Haram. So.
All These Worlds Are Yours. Yeah, that song is crazy.
Into the whole set list will be interesting. But yeah, it was great to do the new ones. Great to do the back and forth stuff. Always room to improve, but felt good.
That's dope. I love it. I mean, I could ask y'all a million more questions. Like this is, you know, but what'd you say?
He's about to go catch a flight, so I think we.
Yeah. Last thing before we cut. A question I didn't ask y'all the last time you were here. If your lives were movies, what would they be about?
If my what?
If your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Hold on, but how the question though, and I may not be understanding the question, because wouldn't my movie be about a black man living XYZ, or are we looking for more like if my life was a movie, it'd be Saving Private Ryan or something like that? What sort of answer? Otherwise, I'd be like my life, if it was a movie, it would be, I don't know.
A movie about my life being a movie.
yeah. I don't even know how to answer that.
I always like to keep that one open-ended because like people just kind of give. I've heard both different kinds of answers. I've heard like my life would be X movie, or my life would be about this specifically. Like it could be anything. I like to let people answer it however they want. You know.
I don't have a good one for that. Maybe an absurdist film noir.
Cool. That's a good answer. I like that. I could see it too.
What we're doing.
Word. Chaz, what about you? You got anything? You got anything for that?
I don't know. Something, I don't know. Pootie Tang is one of my favorite movies. I love Pootie Tang. So.
A remake?
Is it a remake of Pootie Tang? Yeah. Sans.
What's his name? Yeah. Sinners guy? Or maybe Michael B. Jordan would just direct it himself.
I never saw Rocky. I never saw Creed 3, so I don't know how good Michael B. Jordan is as a director.
People love those movies. I could never. Yeah. I didn't really ever watch them, but people love those movies.
Mm-hmm. The first one's cool. I like the first one a lot. Also done by Ryan Coogler. Funny enough, the Sinners guy. But I think that's it.
I'm gonna break out.
Got you. Yo, thank y'all so much for doing this, man. Like,
hit me up if you need any extras. Can you carry this inside for me?
Of course. Yeah, thank y'all. Like, it's always a pleasure. Get home safe. Thank y'all so much, man. For real.
Later.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.